Good afternoon and welcome to Day 2, Session 2 of our local candidate interviews on WFJA and WWGP Radio. Brought to you by Sandhills Broadcasting and Brick Capital Video. We are here in the studio at WFJA and I'm Kelly Ladotti. I'm your host for today's City of Sanford mayoral candidate interviews. Before we begin with our first interview, I remind our listeners that today and tomorrow, both afternoons, these interviews will air live on WFJA and WWGP, as well as stream on the WFJA website. Videos of the candidate interviews will post on the WFJA website as well. Candidates for mayor of the City of Sanford are Democrat Rebecca Wyhoff-Salmon and Democrat Sam Gaskins. We're going to start the interview for mayor's race with Democrat candidate Rebecca Wyhoff-Salmon. Rebecca, welcome to WFJA and our candidate interviews.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Good to see you.
So, our interviews are about 20 minutes long. We're going to just plow right in.
All right.
So, I'd like you to tell us, for those that have tuned in today, about yourself and your background and why you are seeking election to be Sanford's next mayor.
Sure. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rebecca Wyhoff-Salmon. I'm a Sanford City Councilwoman. I've served on the council for a little over a decade. I have a background in public communication and a master's degree in public administration. And so I've been, professionally, I've served as a communications director for a national nonprofit and as the vice president of the North Carolina Telecom Association. And I run a small business here in town now. And I'm running for mayor because I feel I have the right experience and the right acumen to really build on the strong foundation that we have started and to continue that positive momentum forward. I've got a clear vision for the direction of the city, and I'm looking forward to articulating that and helping move the community forward into our next chapter.
Well, the City of Sanford certainly has had a lot of success in its recent years in recruiting industry and bringing jobs to the area. The Open for Business policy that the city and you all have worked on, has continued to do well. How will you continue to ride this wave of success?
And it has been quite a wave of success, and I think our community has been very excited about it. I think first and foremost, we continue by continuing the really strong relationship we have with the folks at SAGA. Mm-hmm. The Sanford Area Growth Alliance has been absolutely instrumental in making sure that we have been at the table and that we have prepared ourselves well in terms of site development, making sure we have places for new industry to come to sell the attributes of Sanford. And the proof is in the pudding. I mean, we have over 3,300 new jobs coming to the Sanford-Lee County area, and most importantly to a lot of people who are concerned about the tax base, over $1.6 billion of new investment coming into our county, which is incredible. And so I think we need to continue that. And then I feel a strong suit that I bring to the table is working with our regional partners. Mm-hmm. This is becoming something now that is more than just about what happens here. People don't live just within their own city lines. They don't live within our own county lines. They're working, they're playing all across the region. And I've got great relationships through my work with the Triangle J Council of Governments, with our local surrounding counties, on the interlocal committee group with Lee County and our partners right here in town. And I think that those partnerships are what's going to take to be able to build on the success that we've had and continue that in a robust fashion as we move forward.
Y'all are busy.
We're very busy.
Yes. So what are the main priorities for Sanford in the coming years then? How will you approach those priorities if elected mayor?
Okay. I think the priorities, they're building on what we've already done. I've spent, since filing so much of this campaign out talking with folks. Mm-hmm. I've visited over 1,300 homes and knocked on doors. People have submitted their ideas to me. And these are really reflected in what I feel our priorities are moving forward. And the first is like we talked about, continuing that focus on economic development. Yes. And sort of expanding that to what I'd like to term, and I think what we're starting to term in the city, economic prosperity for all. Which really includes making that connection with workforce development. I want to make sure that our folks that live here have first access to the really great jobs that are coming
That's
in.
Great.
So that includes making sure that we communicate and get folks enrolled in the Lee County Promise program, get them into our community college, and make sure that that link is really made so robustly and strongly.
Well, all signs indicate that with the recent industry recruitment and the number of homes either planned or under construction, our population is just booming, and it's coming, right, over the next few years. How is Sanford prepared, though, in terms of our infrastructure for this growth?
Okay, and that actually brings me to my second priority,
Fantastic.
which I didn't get to, which was really that managed smart growth and infrastructure development. Piece to that. We have been working already on expanding our water treatment plant, which we're taking a different perspective on this time. We're working with partners, which is going to be able to have us have economies of scale in our development, which will help stabilize the water rates for our folks in town. And that's sort of what I want to make sure gets communicated to all of you, is that as we grow, as we build partnerships, as we make these changes, they're made with the folks of Sanford in mind. And so, a water plant expansion that we are involving other people, yes, it helps our regional partners, but mostly it benefits the folks here in Sanford first. We're building a new fire station, and we also have, which I'm sure you've heard about, made a really fantastic deal with Chatham County when we put in that sewer line to expand the infrastructure up that made that the VinFast announcement possible. We're getting 20% of the Chatham County property taxes that come off of anything that's developed on that line right back here into Sanford, which our residents can have the benefit from in terms of making sure that we fix the infrastructure that needs fixing, that we're ready to offset those costs with that money coming. I mean, it's a real opportunity for Sanford residents to have someone else's money coming in to take the pressure off of our own taxpayers. And it also gives us a chance to promote other quality of life projects in the future that'll really preserve our character.
That's such a buzzword these days, too, that quality of life. How do we enhance that? In a community like ours, there needs to be that balance. That's what people are asking. We want to recruit industry. We want new homes, but we want to protect the people that already lived here as well. So recently we heard from many that they didn't like the new development, quote, in their own backyard. So how do we keep this balance, and is one more important than the other?
I think balance is the right word. I think you hit it right there, and we are working very hard to make sure that as we grow, we're doing that in a balanced fashion. We're working to update our UDO, our Unified Development Ordinance, which makes sure that we elevate the expectations that we have for the new developments coming into our community. And I think that we're sort of focusing now on making sure that we're tying where we're putting our infrastructure into where that we want the development to be, strengthening the infill projects in our urban core, I think, which will really help that.
Yes.
And that character development issue is so important, but it's up to each of us to sort of participate in that. And so well as working with our downtowns that our downtowns are such a strength to that character preservation. And I look forward to sort of talking more about sort of how we can do that.
Well, that kind of goes with community beautification, and that's helped so much in our recent years. It's definitely helped in our downtown. Our storefronts are full in downtown. What are some other things that the city could do to improve the look and that front door appearance of Sanford?
Sure, and it's come up a lot. Community appearance is something that people care a lot about, which I think is because part and parcel to the pride that everyone has in Sanford, which is really exciting. I think the things that we can work on are really strengthening our corridors. There's a limit to what we can tell people that they can do on their private property, which I know is frustrating to folks when they put out a building and say, why can't we do something? But we're sort of focused now on what can the city do to work on that. So corridor lighting is one thing. I'd like to see a corridor tree program. Where we put the focus on green, beautiful things as people come along and sort of invite people as entryways into the city. I think that the trash cleanup that we did during COVID, really increasing how much trash we were picking up, was very popular. I'd like to see, obviously, people pick up their own trash. But if that's not going to happen, I think we need to raise the expectations for what our community is going to look at. And I think people take care of something that looks beautiful. And then something near and dear to my heart, which would also be expanding public art.
Yes.
I think that it has captured people's imagination in a really phenomenal way. It elevates people's spirits to see that, and it's also telling our history.
Yep.
Our mural projects, and even last night we had a wonderful concert that looked at our musical traditions. I think arts, music, culture, I think these are all the things that's going to make a more round and beautiful city for us all.
arts definitely speak to people differently
They do.
Than other things. So, well, as a current city council member, you have experience with the city budget. So, are there any areas where you see possible improvement in the budget going forward?
You know, obviously we have some really great opportunities with the budget. You know, I think as we talked about that 20% of the property taxes coming in, I think that's going to alleviate some pressure on some of these quality of life projects and infrastructure demands that we have. And also, the whole purpose, to some degree, of a lot of this economic development is to increase the tax base. There's such a focus on tax rate, but the reality is that if you expand the tax base, we have an opportunity to reduce the rate of taxes on everyone, which is a benefit to everyone without decreasing services. So that's sort of the end goal in mind. And I think that, you know, we're really working hard to utilize, you know, sound financial management practices and a lot of things to make sure that we're in great shape no matter what happens. You know, the economy is going to do what the economy is going to do, and our job is to figure out how do we maintain the level of services and reduce the pressure on folks for the budget. But I feel like we've got a phenomenal city staff that it's working really hard to make sure that our best practices are followed, and we've had a real keen understanding, and we've gotten through some lean years, and I think we're going to figure out how to handle this growth in a way that's very responsible.
Well, if elected, you'll be moving from a different position. So you'll go from a city councilwoman to the mayor's position. What do you see as the major changes for you and your duties to the city? How will this look for you?
That's a really great question. You know, I have always thought in how I have approached my service to the city as someone who's tried to be a problem solver and a coalition builder. And I think that fundamentally that is one of the biggest jobs of the mayor, is bringing folks together, looking for out-of-the-box solutions to the problems that we're all facing together, to put the right people in a room to solve the problem, because not one person has all the right answers.
Right.
And I think that I have the perspective and the temperament to really lend myself to be able to do that well, and to be an ambassador and to sell this city as strongly as I can. I love this city, and I love the passion that people have for it, and you know, nothing would make me prouder than to be able to serve in that capacity, because for me this is what it's always been about for me, is service to our community and making our community the best it can be, and I hope to bring those skills to bear.
Absolutely. Well, Rebecca, we do want to thank you for your time today for this interview. On behalf of the station, we just wish you the best in this upcoming election. There's still quite a bit of time left to get out there and get your name out. So what would be your final responses? What's the takeaway from today that you really want your constituents to understand and to know about you?
The thing that I would like people to know is that the future of Sanford is really bright, and we have built such a strong foundation. You know, I've been on the council for over a decade, and I feel that the foundation is in place, and all the tools are right there for us to build together the community that we want to build. And I'm ready to help get everyone in the room and make this happen. I think somebody told me as an idea that when they responded back about the city and the ideas that they had, that we just don't dream big enough.
Yes.
And that's been a real takeaway that I have had from this. You know, we don't need to do everything, and we need to be really focused on what we choose to do, but we also don't need to limit ourselves, and we need to ask big questions in order to get big results. And I think that's what people want to see. They want to see Sanford just as it is, one of the greatest cities in North Carolina. I like to think the best city in North Carolina,
Yes.
but I might be a little bit biased. But I think that we can do that working together.
Blue sky visions are certainly exciting, for sure. Well, I joined the Sandhills Broadcasting and Brick Capital Video in thanking Rebecca Wyhoff-Salmon for taking time with us today. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll talk with mayoral Democrat candidate Sam Gaskins.